in a sky full of stars. I think I see you. I think I see you.
Welcome to the Half Moon Yoga and Art audio blog and podcast. My name is Hannah, and today we're going to discuss big magic in Barcelona. Have you ever felt inspired with a great idea? How did it come to you? The practice of meditation as a part of yoga is a tool to help us quiet our mind and tap into the deep places of our consciousness that inspire creative ideas to emerge. As described in the ancient Vedas and Upanishads of yoga philosophy, the universe expresses itself as spontaneous creative energy in the form of what we call prana, the intelligent life force. When we practice awareness and asana, or the physical postures, and pranayama, the breathing techniques, we fuel the creative processes by increasing and directing the flow of prana through the energy channels in our body. Therefore, yoga allows us to open up that passage, that connection with the divine. We are reminded of our conscious movement connections each time we flow through sun salutations. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Exhale, swan dive and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale to fold with your chin to your chest. Inhale, step back into plank pose, one straight line with your body. Exhale, lower through chaturanga. Inhale to cobra, and exhale to downward facing dog. And then you can repeat and add on. As we move our bodies, breathe, and focus, we allow divine energy to pass through us. Sometimes this energy takes place in the form of ideas or inspiration. Some of us may be really open to receiving these great ideas. However, inspiration is only the starting point. Have you ever received an idea for a creative work and found that you lacked the courage to complete it? The creative journey is one in which we expose our souls to the world. Elizabeth Gilbert, author of Eat, Pray, Love, shares her relationship with creativity and fear in her latest book, Big Magic: Creative Living Beyond Fear. She believes the essential ingredients for creativity remain exactly the same for everybody: courage, enchantment, permission, persistence, trust, and those elements are universally accessible, which does not mean that creative living is always easy. It merely means that creative living is always possible. I agree with Gilbert, as she believes that we all have a creative side, even though our mediums and outlets vary, from writing, painting, designing, engineering, cooking, dancing, singing, speaking, coding, baking, acting, or even bedazzling your ox. She remarks, to even call somebody a creative person is almost laughably redundant. Creativity is the hallmark of our species. We have the senses for it, we have the curiosity for it, we have the opposable thumbs for it. We have a rhythm for it, we have a language and excitement and innate connection to the divinity for it. So if you want to check out her book, Big Magic, click on the links below for the hardcover book and also the Audible 5-hour version. Liz Gilbert explains that fear is an essential part of our survival. If we were completely fearless, we would have no caution when jumping into a fire or off buildings. However, we must realize the difference between when fear is working to protect us or keeping us from living a fulfilling life. She emphasizes that it's less about fighting fear and more about working with it and around it. Fear is always triggered by creativity because creativity asks you to enter into realms of uncertain outcome. This is nothing to be ashamed of. It is, however, something to be dealt with. As Liz states, a creative life is driven more strongly by curiosity than by fear. Fear is a desolate boneyard where our dreams go to desiccate in the hot sun. In order for the creative energy to manifest as a work of sculpture, poetry, or musical composition, artists need to be able to focus intensely on their work for hours at a time. The deeper practices of yoga, including Dharana, deep concentration, and Dhyana, the sense of oneness, are particularly powerful for training us to access and remain in a focused state of creative flow. Our art making helps us become more present, in our daily lives and offers an opportunity to connect more deeply with the universal creative force that resides in us all. This book has been monumentally inspiring for me in my writing of this blog and upcoming yoga philosophy travel memoir books. Liz Gilbert encourages me to keep writing, painting, exploring, and creating in many other forms, like my yoga sequences and playlists, because it brings fulfillment and purpose to my life. Swami Rama speaks this truth in one of my favorite quotes, "The brave alone enjoy the world." We shouldn't put the pressure of making a living off of our art, but if the universe wants that to happen for us, then it certainly can. Just as I am still plugging away as a writer, teacher, and food server, Liz Gilbert didn't quit her bartending and food serving jobs until she produced her 5th book and reached the bestseller list with Eat, Pray, Love, selling over 10 million copies. Since then, she has been named among 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. And you can check out my colorful Big Magic inspired yoga leggings from my bright and colorful paintings on the links below, as well as Eat, Pray, Love book or Audible. Do you believe in the power of your thoughts and attitude? Last week, I held a book discussion for Big Magic with some of my dearest friends who also explore the depths of creativity. We discussed the power of our thoughts. Every time you express a complaint about how difficult and tiresome it is to be creative, inspiration takes another step away from you. When we experience judgment or perfectionism or self-criticism, it's just another thing to notice. If we notice it, it starts to lose its power. Former dolphin trainer and now nanny and world traveler Sarah Martinez felt influenced by the concept that if you don't give your mind a job to do, then it will invent a job that you may not like. Sarah shared, "When my mind is not actively creating, I find it telling me things that I should have done, should be doing, or focusing on mistakes that I have made. In Gilbert's words, I am actively destroying instead of actively creating." We need more creation, not more destruction. In our culture, we sometimes run into a tortured artist stereotype, someone who's experienced pain and started creating artwork reflecting that pain. However, the more and more we feed our dark side, the larger it grows. Devoted writer, jewelry designer, fashionista, and interior designer Alexis Burns empathizes, "I have witnessed many a tortured artist. I believe that their torment has fed their art. Sadly, some artists thrive on pain. It's all they know." Gilbert states, "A lot of what I'm doing in this book is really questioning whether we need to continue the myth of the tortured artist. A lot of artists are distrustful of pleasure and really trust only the darkest places of being authentic. That leads to a lot of misery and self-destruction. Insanity is a very tempting path for artists, but we don't need any more of that in the world at this moment. So please resist your call to insanity. We need more creation, not more destruction." Spanish teacher Joanna George explores international cultures and artifacts as she recreates visual and audible artworks with her K through 8th grade students. She expanded further on this topic when she said, "Sometimes we will suffer when a tragedy, death, or other alienation occurs in our lifetime. We may feel the need to express this feeling of humanity and may go on to create wonderful masterpieces of art. For example, following Picasso's Blue Period depicting themes of poverty, loneliness, and despair in somber tones of daunting blues, Picasso's Rose Period represents a more playful themes of clowns, tricksters, carnival performers, depicted in cheerful, vivid hues of red, orange, pink, and earth tones. Based largely on tuition rather than direct observation, Picasso's Rose Period marks the beginning of Picasso's experiments with what is simple and unsophisticated." However, Joanna also agrees with Gilbert when she states, "But I don't believe they should rely on that torment to continue creating their art." And here's Joanna and I gaining cultural inspiration in Spain on the Camino de Santiago. Liz Gilbert also expresses the idea that nothing is nor should be perfect. We should explore creativity like a trickster or magician with a playful and experimental approach. Sarah Martinez furthered on this topic when she realized, In the past couple of years, I've tried my best to omit the word perfect in my dialogue. Omitting that word to me does not come from an idea of perfection, but more reminds me that it's okay for things, people, myself to have faults. That to me is a more realistic idea of how to live life. When we are afraid that we need to be perfect, then we lose the courage to go for it when we have an idea. Let's start saying, yeah, I'll do that, I'm ready. If not me, who? Likewise, if you're serious about a creative expression, then you should take on this work like a holy calling. Cleaning ourselves up, practicing yoga postures, breathing deeply, and concentration are effective ways to continue to let inspiration flow through you. Liz talks about dressing up for creativity as well. When Elizabeth Gilbert thought that she was out of inspiration, she started gardening, creating life in a new way. This inspired her curiosity about where all these different seeds come from, and she began to research on life as a botanist in the 1800s, which led to her amazing novel, The Signature of All Things. So why is this book about creativity called Big Magic? There's a very unique scene in the book that gives me goosebumps about Elizabeth's philosophy of ideas as how they float around in space looking for someone to accept them and try to implement them. I don't want to give away the spoiler details of this intense awakening, but I will say that magic is fascinating, captivating, charming, glamorous, enchanting, entrancing, and magnetic. It relates to the art of producing illusions. Visual art is surrounded with producing illusions when it comes to shading, linear perspective, spacious architectural design, artificial color, etc. Magic also refers to the power of apparently influencing the course of events by using mysterious or supernatural means. In this sense, when we speak of energies or the life force energy of prana, this could be considered a supernatural means that inspires us to produce and create. The universal language of inspiration speaks of being struck by lightning, an idea coming to you while waking up in the middle of the night, with chills on your arms. Tammy Spencer Towner had this precise type of inspiration when she began devoting her energy to TS jewelry designs. She literally felt struck by intense ideas about new designs during a transitional part of her life while she was sleeping. This period of her life allowed her to step away from her routine and see in a new way. Now her jewelry is featured at Café Chloe, Mingay International Museum Store, Lux Institute, and other boutiques around California. She draws inspiration designs from ancient Egypt, Turkey, and the Caribbean. She is currently exploring opportunities to expand her sales in Italy as well. Tammy Towner added, "I love the power of positive thinking, which I find in this book, and it allows my mind to go deep with possibilities." You can also click on the link for TS Jewelry Designs. When I think of big magic on my travels, I'm reminded of the city of Barcelona. Is it a coincidence that located near the center of the city lies the Magic Fountain of Montjuic? Built in 1929 for the International Exhibition, this fountain offers a spectacular display of music, water acrobatics, and lights which generate over 50 kinds of shades and hues. In 2012, I found the entrancing effect of these dancing fountains, as I also felt a magnetic draw to these interesting people in my hostel. We explored parts of the city together with a new sense of fascination. Barcelona is bursting with color, shapes, movement, balance, inspiring forms, and variety thanks to the world-renowned Art Nouveau architect Antoni Gaudi. The work of Antoni Gaudi represents an exceptional creative contribution to the development of architecture and building technology in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. In Barcelona, 6 out of 8 World Heritage UNESCO sites were designed by Antoni Gaudi. Gaudi's work was uniquely influenced by his passions for nature and devotion to the divine. In yoga philosophy, the time spent studying nature through concentration and meditation is known as Dharana, and this devotion to the divine is known as Dhyana. He is a marvelous example of someone who excelled beyond fear. He kept his channels open to inspiration and never stopped producing art of intense exceptionality. During his time spent as a student, Gaudi was able to study a collection of photographs of Egyptian, Indian, Persian, Mayan, Chinese, and Japanese art owned by the School of Architecture. His work transcended mainstream Art Nouveau with his curvilinear organic style, inspired by natural forms. In some buildings, it looks like he didn't even use any straight lines. Everything that he created looked like it was coming to life. Casa Batlló rooftop is arched and similar to the back of a dragon or dinosaur. The local name for the building is Casa del Osso, House of Bones, because it has a skeletal organic quality. Featuring irregular oval windows and flowing sculpted stonework, much of the facade is decorated with a mosaic made of broken ceramic tiles that starts in the shades of golden orange and moving into greenish blues. His best-known work is the immense but still unfinished church of Sagrada Familia, which has been under construction since 1882 and is still financed by private donations. The Sagrada Familia is the worldwide symbol of Barcelona. The monumental church, called the Expiatory Temple of the Sacred Family, is Gaudi's most famous work and finest example of his visionary genius. It takes visitors into a spiritual atmosphere thanks to the arrangement of light sources and the colors of the windows. Inspiration from nature is taken from a tree as the pillar, and branches symbolize the trees rising up to the roof. Gaudi dedicated his life to carrying out his ambitious undertaking, which due to his sudden death was left unfinished. The project was resumed in 1952 using drawings and scale models. As of 2007, completion is planned for 2016. Further, Gaudi's Parc Güell is one of the most impressive public parks in the world. This public park system is composed of gardens, architectural elements that incorporates a network of twisting roads which follows the contours of the land. Although considered to be a serious person, Gaudi is a trickster as he created a playground for the mind with visual jokes like columns that stimulate palm tree trunks and quilts of ceramic tiles. His dragon salamander fountain in the center represents the element of fire and transformative qualities of the materials. Throughout this park, he introduced new techniques in the treatment of materials, such as his trincandies, which used broken waste ceramic pieces, teaching us to recycle and repurpose objects. The focal point of the park is the main terrace, surrounded by a long bench in the form of a sea serpent. The curves of the serpent bench form a number of enclaves, creating a more social atmosphere. Casa Milà is an example of Gaudi's use of light and quality of positivity over darkness. Every room of the house has skylights of varying size that allow them to have natural light, so that almost every part of the house gets its share of sunlight. Gaudi states, architecture is the arrangement of light, sculpture is the play on light. This creation has an interesting rooftop with large ensemble of 28 different surrealistic chimneys in several groupings, twisted so that the smoke comes out more effectively. One of the chimneys was topped with glass pieces. It was said that Gaudi used the mosaic technique the day after the inauguration of the building, taking advantage of the empty bottles from the party the night before. Elizabeth Gilbert profoundly declares, the universe buries strange jewels deep within us all, and then stands back to see if we can find them. Do you have the courage to bring forth the treasures that are hidden within you? What are your current creative goals? What are you curious about? What are you currently turning to? Where are you currently turning to for inspiration? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for listening to another episode of Half Moon Yoga and Art audio blog and podcast. Please check out the show notes and links to read the book Big Magic or other books by Elizabeth Gilbert, and check out some of these artists and my new yoga leggings designed from my paintings. Thank you for listening and have a great week.